Caution is out for the 7th time today. You're looking at the reason why. Casey Kane spins around
with help.
Watch for his number 9 Dodge on the outside of Greg Biffle.
The Biff got on the curb, hopped out into the racetrack. Unfortunately, Casey Kane in the 9 was going by.
Now, since it had only been about 15-20 laps since that last caution, a lot of our guys stayed out, but I feel like that was a huge break for cars like Jeff Gordon, because we had 7 lead lap cars that come to pit road. That way they can look at the tires on that 24 car, make him feel a lot better about what he's got, and he's got 4 fresh tires.
Other thing I like, now I'm out of sequence to some degree with the other guys.
All right, well, we found the hot dog man. We're going to enjoy some delicious Martinsville hot dogs and see what they're serving down in the Hollywood Hotel.
I'm with Hot Dog Hammond, who's glued to his seat.
That's right.
Watching
going anywhere
this
today.
Exciting. Dale Earnhardt Jr., though, who led 1 lap prior to coming into this race, is your leader and comes in on a good note. Some early moments that were tough for guys like Bobby Labonte. Brake failure took him into the wall. It was a tire problem. Watch this as it explodes. And Robbie Gordon, single car owner, 21st in points, come again looking for a sponsor, saves it from hitting the wall. Denny Hamlin, who has dominated most of this race, pit problems.
Yeah, he had problems on both the right side with the Jackman Chris Webb, and on the left side, Jackman actually drops it a little too quick before they get a lug nut on there. They had to come stop and basically lost a ton of doggone track position. Now he's got to start at the back and work his way back up.
Also some problems in the pits for Jeff Gordon, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes in with 3 straight top 15s. He's led the most laps he's led this year and hoping to hang on. Long way to go.
I got a long way to go, but it looks good seeing that number 8 up front.
Let's check in with Matt for an update on Jeff Gordon.
Steve Letarte, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, just looked over the tires that came off of Gordon's car. He told Jeff the wheels and tires all looked good. He said the brakes looked good as well. Gordon said it sounded to him like he ran over something, like a piece of rubber, and it wrapped around the tire. All apparently appears to be good, though, Mike, down here on the 24.
Thanks, Matt. We'll be halfway in the Goody's Cool Orange 500 the next time they come by. This will be halfway as we get the restart. Matt Kenseth got the free pass. He is back on the lead lap
again.
Here we go from our DLP Ultimate Picture cam. We're back under green.
There's a guy back there. You see behind the 9 car, the 48. Larry, he's just been diligently working to the front, slowly but methodically.
Jimmy Johnson, that 48 car, started back in 20th. We talked about it earlier in the race. Struggled Friday, struggled Saturday, but they've been marching their way to the front.
Slowest car in practice yesterday. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Get the door.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Domino's. Congratulations to Jeff Gordon. 50% of you picked him to lead our Domino's hot lap. And in fact, we'll get a ruling here on who the first of our 5 drivers was to cross the start-finish line first. I believe it was Jamie McMurray, who was in 7th place. So thanks to everybody who participated. And remember, you're all automatically entered to win the Ultimate Fan Experience from Domino's at the Michigan race this August.
You know, we just mentioned Jimmy Johnson, his teammate Kyle Busch. We just saw him go by Kevin Harvick in the 29. That puts Kyle up in the 4th position.
Yeah, and I was going to say about Jamie McMurray, been doing a great job. We haven't talked about him a lot, but he's been hanging around in the top 10, and the car looks decent.
And Darrell, you mentioned Martin Truex Jr. earlier, the 1 car. Krista made the report about his confidence. I think the opposite with Jamie McMurray. I think at one point last year his confidence was so low, but with every good run he has in that 26 car, I think his confidence just gets bigger and better.
You know why? Because he's got a great cheerleader now.
Larry Carter.
Yeah.
This is Jamie's first front row start since Infineon Raceway, the road course last June. He also started outside pole in this race last year as he tries to close up on Kevin Harvick, dealing with a lapped car, the number 9 of Casey Kane.
Well, I tell you, Harvick and Kane, not any love lost there, doesn't seem like. They've been beating on each other pretty good. .21 cars on the lead lap.
Matt Kenseth, the last of those, right behind Montoya, who's done a great job of staying on the lead lap through the first half of this race.
Now let's update the two cars that have led over 200 laps of this race. They're side by side right now. The 24 car, Jeff Gordon, came in and pitted a while ago after thought he had a problem for that last caution. Denny Hamlin, the 11, Jeff Hammond, talked about the problems he had on pit road. Right now they're side by side for 14th.
And they're about 1/2 lap behind the leader. Kristen.
Well, Denny Hamlin's car had been getting very tight, so they put the air pressure back where it was before that last stop. Now the problem, all this traffic, the car is starting to overheat. The water temperature on the 11 FedEx Express Chevrolet up to 250.
And that would not be the first car that I've heard it was overheating. I got a report a while ago, David Gilliland in the 38 car, he was starting to overheat.
And if you look at the nose of these cars and the way they take care of it, it's all above that splitter and in that hole back below the bumper. All this area down in here, down in there, that gets full of rubber. I mean, that's one thing this joint will do. It'll get a lot of loose rubber flying around, and it can stop that grill opening up.
But one thing I noticed, look at the nose of Jeff Gordon's car. No tape on the nose, nor the bottom nor the top. But when I look at the 11 car, I'm seeing a little bit of tape up there on that top opening. I just have never believed in running any tape on a nose here at Martinsville because of the lack of airflow, especially on the unknown of this car tomorrow.
Well, that, and then if you beat around a little bit and you close that opening up a little bit and you got tape on it too, you're asking for trouble. This is a no tape race. Put that in the notebook.
Got it.
Dale Jr. out in front of Tony Stewart now by 2.2 seconds. And Jimmy Johnson up to third and closing on Stewart. Jeff Burton in 9th place behind Kurt Busch. Time for our second AT&T Singular Virtual Crew Chief question. What's your favorite short track? Bristol, Martinsville, or Richmond? That's a tough one. So text the word crew to 191 on your AT&T Singular wireless phone to vote. Singular's the new AT&T.
But you know, as we ride with Jeff Burton here in his 31 car, we talked about him earlier. He has made his way up there into the top 10, running 9th, actually battling Kurt Busch in the 2 right now for 8th. A lot like last week at Bristol. Now all 3 of the Childers cars up there in the top 10 solidly.
They've done a lot of work with this car, Larry. The Childers group has. They've done a lot of testing. They're probably as good, as well prepared with this car as any team here.
And you know, the one amazing thing as I walk through the garage area, almost every team brought a different car tomorrow than they raced last week at Bristol. But the Childers cars, all 3 of these cars are the exact cars they raced last week.
Last thing, if there's so many unknowns and we talk about them all the time, last thing I want to bring in a car that another new car I don't know anything about either.
I'd like to finish my hot dog, please. What do you think, Mike?
I'd like another one.
All right, you got it.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., your leader. Here's our Q Motor Oil race summary. Denny Hamlin led 125 laps, and then you saw the miscue right here where he lost the lead in the pits. Jeff Gordon led 92 laps of this race. 7-time winner here. And thought he had a tire down. Dale Jr. took the lead. Gordon recovered and got back up to speed in 11th spot. So Dale Jr. out front on lap 235. That was 40 laps ago.
Tell you what, the car that Jeff Gordon's battling right now, that 24 car, Ryan Newman in the 12, we really not mentioned him today, spun out his first lap of qualifying the other day, still came back on lap 2 to qualify 24th, but he's just been staying real steady, just inside, just outside the top 10, Ryan Newman in the 12.
More bad news for the leaders. All 43 starters are now back on the racetrack. Bobby Labonte's repaired his car, and so has Casey Mears. So all these cars still running. There's Labonte minus the left front sheet metal.
Now here's a little guy in the number 6 car, David Reagan. I've been watching him. 24th, 1 lap down. But you know, guys, he got ran out of here the last race on a rail and actually got grounded. He was going to run the next week, and they wouldn't let him because he had hit everything here but the pace car, and I'm not sure he didn't hit it.
Had a lot of issues. Yeah, he's the only rookie of the year candidate that actually raced here in the fall race.
Doing a good job today. I've been watching him. He's real cautious, keeping his nose clean, and got a pretty good car.
He drives for Jack Roush. He's one of Roush's 5 cars in this race as you watch leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to lap Johnny Sauter. There's so much about stock car racing on the internet these days, much of it written by mainstream media professionals who are held accountable by their paycheck for what they do, and a lot of it is spread by fans, some of it's opinion, some facts, some rumor. So when the story got on the internet this morning that Jack Roush was withdrawing all 5 teams for Martinsville and going home, the rumor spread on the internet like wildfire until people started checking their calendar. April 4th.
Oh, okay.
I told Hammond that Rick Hendrick had just called me and wanted me to come down and stand by to drive the 24 car.
And I bet Hammond believed you.
Yeah, but he's also, Hammond's the one I asked if he knew how many teams was in the Final Four. he wasn't sure.
Notice that all 5 Roush cars are in the race. Folks, don't believe everything you read. McMurray running in 5th is the highest place Ford and the highest of Jack Roush's teams. This is not Tony Stewart's first race of the weekend. Here's Matt.
Mike, Thursday night, Kevin Harvick added the title of promoter to his racing resume when he invited a number of people from the NASCAR community to the first annual KH Invitational. He drafted in wife Delana to work as the flagger. Tony Stewart and Harvick had a spirited battle through the 3-segment event of 2 heats and a feature, and it was Stewart who took the 50-lap feature win, followed by Gale and Harvick. But of course, you have to have the hardware when you win a race. Although it's not the grandfather clock, it's a pretty special little trophy, and as you notice, they are on a budget, so they had to use duct tape when they put the year 2007 on it, just setting up the October repeat of the Fall Brawl when we come back to Martinsville.
And Matt, the challenge between Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick, it didn't stop Thursday night. It moved into qualifying day here on Friday. I think Kevin Harvick said that if they raised $100,000 for charity, that he would challenge Tony Stewart to get his back and his chest waxed. Tony Stewart came back at Kevin Harvick and said, you know what, I'll throw $100,000 in if we just shave Kevin Harvick's head. So I don't think that battle is just over just yet.
It's a whole new meaning to wax on, wax off.
But please. 286 laps complete. Dale Jr. leading Tony Stewart by 3 seconds. And here's Ricky Rudd, second Ford in the race, 12 seconds out of the lead, 13.
Well, I've been watching this car here, Ricky Rudd in the 88 car, and then right behind him, Kenny Schrader in the 21 car, qualified 4th. Those two drivers.
Trouble for Kevin
Harvick, the 29 car, is in trouble. In fact, he's coming to pit road, it looks like.
And not very fast either.
And he better not be fast right there, Matt Yoakum, 30 miles per hour on pit road.
Larry Mackey came on the radio. Harvick says the car has no fuel pressure.
Wow.
Well, let's
want to gamble, want to make a bet.
Well, let's go back to Bristol last week. The Waterman fuel pressure system, the fuel pump system, and again, normally it's not the fuel pump itself. It's the cable. It's the cable that drives it off the back of the oil pump. That's what happened to Tony Stewart last week at Bristol. They're going to go behind the wall. I'm quite confident it'll be that cable.
When the pump's way in the back, the engine's in the front, that cable drive, if the cable encounters any resistance, it twists, that shortens the cable, tends to pull that hex out. And from my understanding, some folks that use these cables in sprint cars emailed me and said perhaps the cable in a stock car is too long to be effective.
Well, and there's also a process that the hex is put on the cable that goes in the back of the oil pump. It's a crimping process. I actually talked to Sid Waterman this week that makes the system, and he said, Larry, we have actually stepped up our process after the problem that Stewart had last week, and now we have a jig where it's almost bulletproof, but we don't know that this is not a cable that was made earlier before this process in the 29.
I think the reason people at home might say, well, why are they running the thing if it's going to break? Well, the new Chevrolet engine that they're going to start running, I think next week or 2 weeks in Texas, it doesn't have a fuel pump. It doesn't have the fuel pump like we're accustomed to. So they're having to develop this system for that new engine.
And a bit of growing pains perhaps this week for Kevin Harvick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads Tony Stewart by 1.8 seconds.